Hello, everyone. Um, Thank you for joining us today. I'm Adnan Maqsood, the practice head at Royal Cyber, and with me is Brijesh, our director of ServiceNow. And we are thrilled to bring you this session on smart testing, the strategies for ServiceNow. I've spent past few years helping clients transition to intelligent test automation using GoTestPro, and Brijesh with me also have helped me in solving the complex QA problems in the space of ServiceNow, and we have helped Fortune 500 companies and the clients to solve their bottlenecks regarding to ServiceNow and their issues regarding to that in terms of in testing space. Today's agenda, we will be cover the testing landscape in ServiceNow, identify current limitations, and follow and show you how GoTestPro actually addresses those. Then we will walk you through a live demo, followed by real success stories and exclusive offers. Stick around for the Q&A. Our goal is to eliminate testing slowdowns. Businesses actually are moving very fast, rapidly. Testing must move accordingly and faster. By switching from manual or script-based testing to a no-code model, you can actually test 10x faster and deliver changes without any risk. Highlighting these three major bottlenecks or challenges mostly customers or client actually faces regarding to their upgrade, limited knowledge around the product, and some skill gaps that they mostly complain about around the ServiceNow spectrum and space. We often see these pain points of like around majorly impacting their upgrade, disrupt flows, and demand exhaustive sort of testing when they are into the manual testing approach. Secondly, business users are hard to engage in the testing because they are more on the business orientation side. They do not have much knowledge around the testing, and they have less familiarity with the technical tools that were used basically in the testing space. And it is difficult also to automate ServiceNow and using different tools. So we are trying to address all these challenges that we are facing in this space. ServiceNow actually release rapid releases, which means there is a very less time in testing. Highly customized workflows actually don't align itself with the standard tools. For example, the tools that they are in the market, but it doesn't handle the cross-functional platform testing. Also, does not handle the UI testing very well. If we add the integration in this role, so there will be more complexities and challenges that comes up. GoTestPro actually delivers full test cycles, intelligent testing, and automation. Testers actually love it because it's a no-code test automation solution, and developers can run different other script-based testing on it. Now, if we talk about the frequent upgrades, you are familiar with ServiceNow, there are rapid changes and the upgrades are coming up. So when we talk about the manual testing, it's very time consuming and a lot of effort is required to run all the regression cycles. But with the automation tools, we can actually speed it up and we can have testing happening rapidly in that side. Complex workflows are very hard to test. And when we talk about ServiceNow, so we can understand how complex it can be with the lengthy use cases coming up with hundreds of test steps. So the testing again and again on complex automation tools or manually is not viable solution. Automation coverage is challenging. We do not know, most of the customers complain about that they do not have a proper traceability matrix where we can track their user stories or their requirements with their test metrics, that what they are testing, how much coverage they are providing. So the tools like GoTestPro and others can actually help the user to do the traceability metrics as well. Integration with the third-party tools is handled, like either you are navigating your workflow or a user flow from ServiceNow to another platform such as SAP or an external system. So we have covered it all in terms of when we talk about the automation. Let me give you a quick overview around the capabilities of GoTestPro in the personas of developer, testers, and managers actually. So if we talk about developers, so this tool is basically available for the developers in many ways because they are technical enough to understand the code and what is happening on the background. Code itself provides them an ability to write their custom JavaScripts to deal with many elements or the user interface that they want to test. They can quickly integrate the already test automated into their existing CI/CD pipelines. Either they are using within ServiceNow or externally, such as Azure DevOps or Jenkins or any other. So they can integrate all their test repositories to provide a better test coverage before going to a major releases or an upgrade. Jira integration is also there, or any ALM integration that is required to make sure that the proper end-to-end testing coverage needs to be starting from the stories, user backlog item, product backlog item that can be articulated from till the testing, and the bugs can be reported accordingly. If we talk specifically about the tester's persona, so the testers basically get out of the box test cases tools which actually help them to get started with the pre-built test cases that we have around ServiceNow, and they can actually look into it and they can play around with those test cases, modify them, and it is a very good starting point for the tester to set up their test repository. So the test cases we like also record and playback is there. So if we talk about GoTestPro, it runs on a Chromium-based engine, which helps the users to automate their use cases using an extension which is available in Chrome. So they can record their use cases scenarios. If there is a complex use case, then so there are many options to make them more handy and usable, like if-else conditions, data-driven approach, and all that. So if we talk about the advanced features for the testers, so 2FA or multi-factor authentication is there, which is kind of a challenging to test. So GoTestPro handles MFA, data-driven, and PDF validation, such as like emails coming up. So we have to validate the context of the emails getting uploaded on us from a system. So we have to validate those scenarios. So that can be handled very easily within GoTestPro. Now, talking about the last and the third persona for the manager and the management, that how they can actually take advantage from the tool. So test result to see what is the current state of the existing cycle that was executed on the build or on the application that is under test. So they have the whole test results available within the GoTestPro. They can see what test cases are getting passed, fail, or any other debugging process that they have to go. So they have all that information handy. Recordings are available. So GoTestPro comes up with its scale-up capability on multiple environments, and we can test on multiple configurations. So apart from that, it also provides you all the recordings that is there to visualize that what is happening on the test environment, how the testing was done, how the user experience was there, and how the execution was handled. Then there is a screenshot for every test step that is happening, which is capturing all the major elements of the screen, like which elements and interaction screen happening on the screen, test case, identifying all the elements on the screen so that can be captured. And AI benchmarking for the result is also available to visualize the results there. For example, which test cases are getting failed rapidly and from the last releases, what are the bottlenecks, what are the causes of those, so that can be achieved through AI benchmarking and its results. Breaking the bottlenecks, like test bottlenecks, so majorly testing bottlenecks are around these areas. Either we talk about test environments, finding the testers and results, or migration problems. So GoTestPro delivers full cycle intelligent sort of automation. Testers love to interact with no code interface. Developers can run their, as I told, developer can run their JavaScript to validate flows. Managers also have a lot of availability and the things on their dashboard to see We are helping the teams to remove those bottlenecks by enabling cross automation. GoTestPro supports advanced features, dynamic data integration with third-party tools, and many more. If we talk about the role in this environment, so for example, you are testing your application on multiple environments and releases, and major issues or bottlenecks that were faced is around writing a test case for a different environment for another time. Like you are writing one test case for one environment and then replicate it for another. But within this, with GoTest Pro, you can manage multiple environments for a single test case. You just have to change the variable or the environment details on the backend, and the test is good to go. And you can also um, uh, scale up your test case on multiple environments simultaneously and see how it is working. As we talk about the migration, so migrations are more challenging because we have to make sure there is no, in the regression cycle, there is nothing breaking up. So to run that large scale of test cases on a one major release, so we can run that test cases through scheduling or through CI/CD pipelines, and then see how the execution look like and how the migration took place, and if there is anything breaking up. So we have plenty of time prior to launch to roll back and to fix, and all that can be done. Moving towards some of the features and the use cases that I would like to cover in today's session. So these are the list of the features talking about record and playback. So as I mentioned, we have a Chromium-based extension that help the end users, business users, testers, developers to record all the scenarios and the use cases through that extension. I will be showcasing that today in our demo. We have a test case that covers service catalog items and how actually that can be automated, and the whole end-to-end flow that can be covered. And then there are multiple other flows in the use cases like approve a change request, creation of a change request, hardware asset refresh order, PDF validation, validating a PDF is getting uploaded from my system into ServiceNow, and then validating if that PDF is actually accurately uploaded and the content can be validated. Multi-factor authentication, service catalog use cases in data driven. So right now I would like to pause here and take a quick poll that which use cases you guys would like to see and you want me to demonstrate. So I will be launching a quick poll and it will be appearing on your screen. So if you can quickly select the use cases that you want to see, and then I will be going into demo, and then I will show those use cases majorly covering how we can do. Okay. Okay. So I think most of us are done. I will end the poll and see
Let's
the vote.
let's wait for just a few more minutes.
Okay.
I mean, just 30 seconds more, maybe.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good, Adnan.
Okay.
You've got
So
change request. Uh,
yeah.
you, let's pick the top two or three that got the most votes, and let's see if we can
Yeah. So
showcase those in the demo.
yeah. So create a change request and then record and playback in data driven. So I will be demonstrating these three use cases. Let me quickly share my screen so I can actually demonstrate. Okay, so let me pull up GoTestPro. Okay, so going back into my test case repository, this is some of the test case. So the first one that we got is was create a change request. Okay, I will just quickly go into the test case. Here. Okay, so I've opened my test case around the change request. It's loading. This is how the test case actually looks like. It's a recorded use case or a scenario that we already have. It consists of multiple steps, around like 70 or 80 plus steps that they have. So within this test case, let me just quickly a quick overview. So we are using dynamic variables to make it more robust and eliminate the hard coding of the data sets. The tool itself comes with multiple sort of an execution. Right now, I will emphasize on the local execution to show and visual see to show you guys how the execution looks like. So let me quickly run the test. So on the right hand side, you can see that it's my extension, which is Chromium based extension. And on the left hand side is an application that is currently under test. And all the steps that I am going to perform within my test case will be actually running and executing on the application that is under test. So within the application, all the test steps that are getting passed will be marked as passed. And in case at any step, if the test fail, so it will mark it fail, and then we can also debug the process that how we can actually see the problem or the issue that was caused. Okay, so while the execution is happening, I will keep on explaining. So we are not actually hard coding any implicit or explicit weights here, because majorly every step the tool is compatible enough or capable enough to wait for the next steps to appear or to the elements to appear, and then it will automatically move to the next step. We have used, as I told, global variables here. So all the data set that is coming is from the variables mostly that, and at some places we are inserting the data as well. Okay, so it will complete the complete the whole form for a change request. Now this is another pop-up window that is open and automatically it's navigated its context to that window and selected certain items. Similarly happening here as well. Okay, all the details were getting entered within the description and short description and all the input fields to make a new record for a change request. It's a lengthy form, but it will take few minutes to fill it up, and then the execution will complete, and then we can move to the next use case. So here we have done a JavaScript to enter some values within the required fields. So like within this use case, I'm trying to use multiple features and options, either it's a variables, JavaScript in navigating and taking the context out of the main windows and switching back to the original window or the control windows. Okay, so the request was submitted, and now just going to validate it. Okay, so I think this element was not available on the screen and there was some change. So this just failed. I will save this run and we will visualize the results later. Okay, moving to the other test case that was around data driven. It's a small test case, but to just show you guys how the data driven work. Okay, so here is it. I have in this test case, what I'm trying to do or what is happening is that we are entering a data set and linking up a data set with my existing test case. For example, here I have parameterized my username and password that is actually coming from a data set. And this test case will run multiple times for multiple roles to validate if all the users are able to log in, or we can also use it in many other formats and the cases as well. Now, just running it right now, I have not like it's a parameterized data set is linked with it. And if I go and show you how the data set looks like, so right now it's just a CSV or a data set that was uploaded, and the username and the password fields are there. And now, if I actually run it locally, so you can see in the execution cycle, we see the data is getting fetched from the data source, and we were able to log in within the existing system. And now we can leverage this data at a larger scale as well. Use cases or test cases where we have multiple data sets to be validated or inserted, so we can use that from a data source. And on later stages, when we have to update any changes, so we can actually go back in the data set and update that data set regardless of just coming into a test case and updating that test case. So it will ease the job for the end user who is executing the test cases and running the whole end-to-end testing. And the last one was recording a new test scenario or a use case, how it actually works. So I will create a new test case. I will link this test case with some of the existing test plans, maybe just to showcase a catalog test, and I will just create it. So now if I click on this, it's an empty template that we have as of now. And now if I click on this recording button, it will launch my extension, which is Chromium based and application under test that we have over here. And now any operation that I perform on the application under test will get recorded. For example, I will go and enter the username. Okay, so I have, sorry, in case I have multiple steps, so I can discard them. Okay, I have just bookmarks. Okay, just a second. Okay, so just to delete the steps that are not required, just to put some encryption on my credentials so that they are not visible. Now, for example, if I have to add any backend API calls, for example, I have to fetch these credentials from an backend from my database or a data source or an API. I can also integrate my API request within my test case. For example, putting my API endpoint, I will send the request. I will get some response from my API. In case I'm getting a username and a password, I can select that from a JSON body. Once I select that, I will go into the variables, provide some sort of a name to that variable. Here I put a name, username, and I will just add that variable. So click the save icon. Once I do that, I will close it, and then I will use that variable from GoTestPro in the variable sections. I have multiple variables already, so I can use my username variable to have as an input data from my data set rather than just entering that data. So this is how we actually record the recording part works, and we can record it. Apart from just simple recording, there are many other options or the steps are available, like adding variables or like AI evaluation of the context of the test, inserting some sort of an assertions, conditions, talking about if else, and if we have to navigate from an existing instance that is under application under test to another instance where we want to test or run any test steps so that we can do how the debuggers look like. Just to show you, going back to one of the test case. For example, this was my test case, and this test case failed at step number 78 or 79. To see how the debugging process looks like, and it's very easy. So I will just click on more action, and I will just go into just a second, please. More actions, and I will just select debugging. Okay, so I've just opened the debugger. Okay, so now I can run the test case from the start. It will start the execution from the very first step actually. And once they start the execution for at any point of the execution where the test case is getting failed, only I have to just pause the execution going on. And once I do that, I can take control on the application that is under test. And now I can edit the existing test case or maybe insert new test steps that I have to insert on certain validations, or maybe I have to change some parameters or elements that are appearing on the screen. So I can do that. Once the debugger is stopped, I can hit the recording button and then the execute. Then I can just add or insert some new test step in this. So debugging part is also very handy for the end user or for the business testers or the business users. So I can move my cursor. For example, here I can move my cursor at this step and I can insert the new steps here, validate them, and then rerun them. Okay, just going back to the deck. Okay, yeah. So we have covered in this the top three ones, the change request, data-driven, and how the execution or the recording part looks like, and how we can actually record a new use case or a scenario. Okay, so I will just give you a quick overview on the comparison side now, that how we compare and how GoTestPro is actually better than ATF or other market leading tools or other tools that are available in the market. So right now we are ServiceNow platform testing, so it supports end-to-end testing. GoTestPro supports end-to-end testing for ServiceNow platform and the integration element as well. In case there is a third other components that are integrated, so you can actually test those as well. Out of the box test cases. So yes, GoTestPro comes with out of the box test cases for certain modules, and you can have a quick kickstart, like when you are setting up your project, you can have a predefined test cases which you can modify and you can use it. So GoTestPro is hosted on cloud, but the on-prem version is also available. So in case any customers or a user want the on-prem, so that can be configured as well. Learning curve, it's a no-code and no-code test automation solution, and mostly testing or test cases were created through test recording part, which is an extension of GoTestPro. So it's a no-code automation. So learning curve is very less in terms of understanding how tool works, how the features can be used and leveraged. So the whole test format is codeless, and there is no front-end coding required until unless you have to interact with the DOM or any scripting that you have to do. So you can write a custom JavaScript. So the test case maintenance and the overall effort is very less because it comes with auto healing. So majorly, if minor changes happening on the front end, so a tool itself is capable of visualizing and managing that, because on the back end, multiple locators are being stored to track as one element on the screen. Ease of use, it's very handy, very easy to set up. User can quickly download it from the Chrome store, the extension, and sign up. And then once that is done, it automatically configured it with the production GoTestPro, and end users can record their use cases. So multi-platform web application testing, it support asynchronous approach is there. It's very handy and usable for the business user, because actually the test steps are very easy to understand what is happening and how the execution is going on, what is the use case. It provides the scheduling within the tool, or like a local scheduling where the tool run the regression cycles or the sanity checks on its own, configured by the testers or the business users. Also, the auto healing is a very key component when you are scaling up your test cases, when you are running out on multiple environments for the very first time. So auto healing help the users to reduce the probability of failing the test cases in any environment, either it's UAT production or your testing environments. So it's a certified ServiceNow app. ServiceNow users or testers can go to ServiceNow store. They can download this app from the ServiceNow app, and they can use the test cases from there, run them, show the results, see how the execution is going on, what is the results look like, and overall everything that we have seen in the demo part can be accessed through the ServiceNow app as well. Now, touching one of the customer success stories, we recently been implementing GoTestPro for multiple clients but one of the success story that I want to bring up today is around one of the client where we have, like, they were struggling a lot in terms of when there is a role, new releases coming up, their regression cycles were beyond weeks, like multiple, like 10 to 12 weeks they take around to run the whole regression cycle. They were missing majorly many issues, and defects were countered, or end users were facing those issues in the production. So they were having weekly rollbacks and critical, there were very major gaps in their testing as well. So we have automated the whole end-to-end regression cycle, where we have implemented the GoTestPro, and once we do it, the whole traceability was there to understand which feature have which test cases, what is the coverage, how the testing look like, what is the release health before going to the production. So majorly we have reduced the leakage of the bugs going into the production and the weekly rollbacks. And once the overall implementation was done, so it in terms of an ROI, they have earned and achieved a lot. Majorly, the features that we covered during that whole execution or implementation, so they were struggling on the data driven because most of the data sets were hard coded. So there was no binding with third party tools. So we have done the data driven. Impersonation was there to visual to see how the test cases works for the different users and what is how the role based scenarios work. PDF validations in terms of the email going out to the end user and validating their context of that email, the quantity of the orders, and all that, and two-factor or multi-factor authentication use cases in their production, how that actually we can test MFA within the production. So that mostly is a very challenging part for most of the clients of the customers, because the testers' approach is to go into the lower environments where they can actually disable MFA. But with GoTestPro, we have this integrated MFA use cases or scenarios that can be automated. And within the production, when we have this multi-factor authentication, we can test the whole use cases or scenarios there. Okay, I would like to call Brijesh to take it up and discuss a little
Yeah,
bit about the exclusive offer.
thanks, Adnan. So for those of you who've joined, we have this exclusive event offer, two offers actually that you can avail. One is a complimentary trial. So you can try GoTestPro for free for 1 month, see how it works, automate some test cases. We can also automate a few test cases for you, set you up, get you started. Try it for a month, and if you like it, we can talk about a subscription for 6 months, 1 year, whatever you're comfortable with. And there's 3 different packages, and we can talk about those as well. There's also discounted pricing available in case you, from based on what you've seen so far, if you feel like, yes, this is exactly what we need. You all shared some of the use cases that are of use to you: change request, submission, catalog submission, multi-factor authentication, creating or recording a test case without using code. These are of interest to you, and we did our best to cover all of them in the demo. I hope that was useful. If you like what you saw and you want to move forward with a subscription straight up, if you're joining this webinar, you get a 25% discount on the subscription, and that is also something that you can avail. So both of these offers are available to you. If anybody is interested, please drop a message in the group chat and we will reach out to you. All right, that being said, Madhu, let's switch to Q&A. Any questions? If we can open it up to questions. Adnan, are you, for those of you who are in the webinar, there is a Q&A section on the top right of the GoToWebinar. You should be able to post questions that you have. You should be able to submit questions. Please feel free to submit questions and we will answer and address them. We have about 20 minutes. We'll answer as many as we can. Adnan, are we seeing any questions from the audience?
Yeah, I'm getting those. So the first question is this an yeah, just
Is
let
this
me
an
pull
amalgamation of
it
RPA
up.
and ATF? Good
Yes.
question. I'll answer this one, and Adnan, you can chime in. So this is not ATF. Just to be clear, we're not leveraging the automated test framework that is available on the ServiceNow platform. Nothing against that framework. If you like using it and if it's works for you, it's great. What we have seen is that it is not user friendly. ATF is not user friendly. It takes a lot of time and effort to create a test case using ATF. Also, it takes a lot of knowledge and expertise to use ATF. We have built something that leverages recording. Recording-based test automation is essentially what we've done. So from that perspective, yes, it is kind of like RPA, but it is RPA for testing. And our focus is more on using recording-based testing to record and automate test cases of ServiceNow and really any web platform. GoTestPro works beyond ServiceNow as well. Automate the recording of any web-based application use case. Record that test case and run it. That is essentially what we've built. I think there's one more. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
questions.
a bunch of questions. So the second one was, does this leverage Selenium? So no, it does not leverage Selenium. We have built it on another custom framework on the background, but right, it is not on top of Selenium as of now. But yes, in case the end user or testers are technical enough to understand the code, so they can download the execution code in Java or TypeScript or C# language. That is a possibility over there available within the GoTestPro as well. Okay. So the third question is, how is GoTestPro different from ATF and ServiceNow Cloud Runner? Brijesh, will you
Yes,
take it
I
up?
think I kind of addressed this. I kind of addressed this in the first question itself. With ATF, you have to manually create the test case. You have to specify if it's a catalog. You have to specify this is a catalog test. Then you have to give it the name of the catalog, and for each field, you have to know what the field is called and what value you have to put. So you have to programmatically define each and every step. Then your test case gets created. Then you run it. Even with Cloud Runner, which can generate tests for you, there is still a bit of uh, I don't want to say coding, but there is still a bit of development, test case development involved. And for sure, there is a need to know ServiceNow at the platform level. And that's where GoTestPro is different. With GoTestPro, if you're submitting a change request, if you're in the change management team, or if you're in the catalog management team and you're submitting a catalog item, you, without knowing the platform technical details, using GoTestPro, you can still automate the testing of that use case. So essentially, non-technical users, business users can use GoTestPro. That's how this is different from ATF and ServiceNow's Cloud Runner.
Okay. The next question is, does this tool support automated testing for various scenarios in all the different workspaces like,
Workspaces,
yeah, SOW, HR agent, and some other? Yes, the answer is
CSM,
yes.
the answer
Yes.
is yes.
So the GoTestPro supports in the automation testing in all the spaces within ServiceNow and apart from ServiceNow as well. So if you have to automate any use cases or a test scenario, it will interact and automate, and you can just record your scenarios, run it, modify them, and scale it up. Okay, so the last question was around licensing cost and support mechanism.
I
Uh, yeah.
Before that, Adnan, just on the previous question,
Okay.
yes, any workspace, right? Service operations, HR agent, CSM, FSM, FSO, any workspace. If you're testing something on the workspace, you're essentially performing a UI action in the browser. For GoTestPro, what matters is that you're doing something for within a web application using the browser. So GoTestPro does not differentiate between a workspace versus catalog item versus from a test automation perspective, for GTP, it's all the same. If you're doing anything from the browser, even native UI, this is a question that has come up in the past, even if it's a native UI action that you're performing, you're creating a record straight on a table, for example, and you want to automate the testing of that step or that process, even that is doable using GoTestPro. Sorry, Adnan, go ahead. Last question.
Yeah. So the last question is around, would licensing costs and support mechanism be covered as part of this session?
Yeah, this one, we don't see who's asked the question, but if you can drop us a note, we can reach out to you separately to talk about pricing. We do have pricing available. As I kind of mentioned earlier, there's 3 different packages, and there's different features available in each package. What are these features? What are these packages? What is the price? What is the discount? We can have a separate call with you and walk through pricing separately with you. Anybody who's interested in knowing about the pricing, please drop a message in the group chat, and um, we can reach out to you separately. Okay, there's one more question. The GoTestPro tool is outside the ServiceNow platform, and when execution starts up, then a new browser opens up. Yes and no. So GoTestPro is a standalone web app. So from that perspective, yes, it's outside ServiceNow. ServiceNow is ServiceNow instance is ServiceNow itself is a web app or a cloud-based platform, and GoTestPro is separate. When you use GoTestPro and you run a test, it is actually pointing to ServiceNow, and it's going to open a browser session and it's going to start doing the test, run and save the results, etc. In the GoTestPro app, which is available on the ServiceNow platform, you can view all the results. You can view all the test cases, projects, test plans, everything. You can even run the test from there. But yes, when you run the test, um, we didn't cover this second feature. There's two ways to run the test. You can run the test locally, which is what you saw in the demo, where the test actually runs on your machine, on your PC. When that happens, yes, it's a new browser window and a new GoTestPro window, and you can see the steps being performed by GoTestPro. There is also an option for cloud execution, where on a given test case, you can say, run this test case in the cloud. So on your machine, you're free to do other things while GoTestPro is running that test in the background in a cloud instance. That is also an option that's available. I hope I answered this last question. And sorry, if there's any more questions, I shouldn't say last question. If there's any more questions, please feel free to ask. We do have time. All right, I think we're good. We don't have any more questions. Thank you
Yep.
everyone for joining. It was a pleasure hosting this webinar for you, and we hope that you liked the product. And again, if you're interested in any of the offers that we presented, or if you would like a more detailed, more specific demo for your use cases, please feel free to reach out to us at info@royalcyber.com or drop us a message in the group chat. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.